So you're looking how to read Keepa charts, you're in the right place. There's purple line, green line, yellow line, blue lines. What do they all mean? This video is going to be the master class on how to read everything there is with Keepa, including the track product feature and diving into the data. Now here's the deal. Every single Keepa chart you've seen on YouTube is by an American seller. My name's Anthony Mancini. I've been selling in Canada now for 4 years. I've done around $2 million in sales. I've analyzed thousands of Keepa charts specifically for Canada. So this video is for you, the Canadian. We're going to be going over Canadian charts. So let's jump right into it. So my promise is by the end of this video, when you are reading a Keepa chart, you're going to be able inside 60 seconds to give yourself a grade. Do I buy it? Do I track it? Or do I just straight up pass? And here's the deal. The product page lies. The price that you're seeing now does not mean that's the price you're going to be selling it at, but the history never lies. And that's why we use Keepa. Keepa gives us everything. And I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are so many lines. You have a pink line, a green line, a yellow line, a blue line. And what do they really mean and how important are they? That's the goal. We're going to break down every single one. It's like the alphabet here in Amazon, and you're going to have to learn it. So the first line, which is so important, it's the buy box price, not the lowest price, the buy box price. And what is the buy box, right? If you don't know, when you're on Amazon, you've shopped there before, you press buy now, add to cart, that's attributed to one seller. There could be more than one seller on the listing. So this buy box line tells us the price history. We see inside the pink line here, the pink box, it's 73.78. Well, down here, it's probably lower of a price, right? The line is literally lower on the graph than the $73. There's a million different variations of what we can see, but this line helps us determine, is the price we're seeing today something that is stable and sustainable, or is the price probably going to come back down to its average? The next important line is in that same box. I just removed the pink line, and it's the sales rank. It's the heartbeat of the demand, right? The number one selling product on Amazon is obviously selling tens of thousands of times. The number 100,000 is selling a lot less. So you want to be closer to number one. But in generally, every time this line drops, it's getting better. So we're assuming every time it sells, it's at least one sale that the product got, if not more. So more heartbeats, right? The more it goes up and down, the faster something is selling. And the more it's flatlining, literally like a heart, it is dying and it's dead. There's no movement, there's no volume. So even if you get it at a profitable price, it's just not going to sell. So we talked about the first two lines on the top box, but now we have the third box. There's this blue line. That's the offer count. And it's actually essential to reading because competition will determine how much you can get the piece of the pie. Something that sells 50 times a month, but if there's 50 sellers on it, obviously it's not going to be worth selling on. But vice versa, if it only sells 10 times a month, but you're the only seller, it's a free 10 sales. So understanding that blue line and the association between the price and how many sellers are on it is pivotal. Seller counts rising, more competition for the price, so the price might end up coming down. Same thing with the opposite. As seller count goes down, there's more opportunity for the price to go up. Supply and demand, right? This is literally what we learn in school applied to Keepa. And one of my favorite lines is the yellow monthly sold line. So I mentioned the sales rank, right? The green line that goes up and down, and the more it moves, the more it sells. But the yellow line is fantastic. This is Amazon straight up saying this item sells 50 times a month, 100 times a month. And this can go up to tens of thousands of times per month. So this is data that Amazon is giving us and we could use concretely as a valid source. So if it says it sells 50 times a month, we could be pretty confident. Now we just need to plug the missing parts of the puzzle, which is how much competition's on it and how much can you get of that 50 sales per month. Little bonus, Amazon's here. We see a little orange highlight on the graph. Stay away, right? It's the landlord. Don't throw a party when the landlord is home. You're going to get in trouble. And it's not trouble. Your account health's not going to suffer, but you're just going to buy inventory that Amazon is not going to give you the buy box. So it's not worth it to compete with Amazon. You see an orange highlighted, stay away. So here are the 5 questions to ask yourself when you arrive on a Keepa chart to see if something is purchasable or not. Is the demand stable, or was it just a spike of a month? Zoom out to the 1-year view on Keepa. See the whole history. not just a specific time, because there could be seasonal things that sell in December are probably not going to sell in the summer, and your lawn fertilizer is not going to sell in the winter. So you got to make sure that you're looking at the Keepa graph and you're not buying at the tail end of a season thinking demand is there, but it's about to drop off a cliff because we're about to head into another season. Also, did price spike because there was a seller that ran out? I mentioned if seller count goes down, the price could come back up, and that's a good thing. But are we seeing a temporary spike in price? And in reality, the price is probably going to come back down the minute there's more sellers that comes back on the listing. These are things you need to be asking yourself when you're looking at a listing. And something that is super pivotal is understanding the floor and the ceiling of a product. So you see the pink line, which I mentioned was the price history, goes up and down a lot on this listing. I put two red lines. One is like a ceiling and one is the floor. It hasn't really gone above the ceiling and it hasn't gone below the floor. So if we can adjust ourselves and say, hey, are we profitable if we sell at the floor price? If yes, it's a no-brainer. Now, sometimes the answer might be, hey, maybe I'm just breaking even at the floor price, to which we need to determine, are we closer to sell at the ceiling or are we closer to sell at the floor? But then there's also the average. So the same listing, I put a yellow line, squiggly yellow line right in the middle, and that's probably the price we're going to sell at. But we need to understand that it could drop down to the floor. And if that's the case, what's our backup plan? Are we staying patient? Are we going to sell for a liquidated price? Or are we going to wait till it comes back up to the ceiling? That's something you need to be analyzing on every single Keepa chart because it's always a case-by-case basis. The fourth question I always ask myself is, listen, Keepa can give us hints at demand by showing us the yellow line or giving us a jagged bestseller rank, right, where it's moving a lot. But the best way to see volume is to go into the data tab. So you see in Keepa, there's going to be price history, track product, and data, to which we just click the offer count, and we're going to get to see a chart like this, where I call it the downwards staircase. The seller starts with 20, and we can literally see how fast he's selling his item. And we could just do, hey, how long was he in stock? How many items did he have? 20 items divided by 20 days. He's been selling one a day. If I want to have 30 in stock, I'll buy 30. That's generally the way I love to confirm if something is selling. And it's not only one seller. There could be multiple sellers on the listing, and they could all have their own downwards staircase. Another thing I love to check is the listing dead, right? We see the Keepa graph doesn't look that great. It's moving slowly up and down. It's not like the beginning in December where it's way lower on the graph. But the price was also way less. So you got to ask yourself sometimes, is the volume dead because the price is horrible, or if it's an FBM seller with horrible shipping? What happens if you join as an FBA and you price yourself at a historical low, assuming you're still making 30, 40% ROI? And heck, even if you'll make less than like 20% ROI, if you can then drive volume, and we see here on the Keepa chart, back in December, okay, we might have some Q4 data here, but we have a yellow line here that's indicating it's selling 50 times a month at this price. So at this price, sells a lot less. I rather might sell it less expensive, but sell way more of it. So here's my volume hierarchy. If there's a monthly sold line, I love to see it. It's my number one indicator if there's something that's actually selling. Of course, there's always due diligence to be done. But then, number two, I'll use the BSR and the downward staircase. Certainly, it could be that there's no monthly sold line and that there's just straight up, the yellow line's not there. So then, I will love to use the BSR or the downward staircase. But last but not least, I'll use seller amps estimator and or how many reviews are on a listing. But that really is number three if you can't find any monthly sold line or that there's no downward staircase on a listing. I want to flag something. I mentioned going into the offer count to look at the downward staircase, but please do not look at the sold in the 30-day number here, because the downward staircase could be manipulated. An FBM seller could be checking things in and out of his stock every day to just manipulate, and Keepa's going to count that as sold. And in terms of FBA, your inventory could be transferring from warehouse to warehouse, but all that movement Keepa is using as sold data, but it's not necessarily the case. So the only reason you should be looking at the stock count or the data tab is to look for the downward staircase, and that's it. So let's go over some instant skips with Keepa. If you see this, just move on. It's not worth really investigating much. We have the dead chart, right? No movement, no buy box, There's just straight up no story. If you're a new seller, just move on. You can test these items, but you're throwing money and it's a gamble. It could be that the inventory just ends up dying. If you have an entrenched seller, I'm not talking about the seller with 100 reviews or 200 reviews. I'm talking about 17,000 review type of seller. That guy's carrying so much inventory, it would make you cry. So don't compete with these people. You're never going to get the buy box. If you see a vertical blue line, right, the last chart at the bottom that I showed, if it goes 90 degrees down, don't sell on that. Why is there so many sellers getting removed from the listing? There's a red flag there. You don't want to be caught in that. You're allowed to sell it, but if there's history of sellers being removed, you could be removed too, and it can have account health implications. If Amazon never is leaving, now if you could see the orange highlighter come in and out of stock, there might be opportunity for you. But if Amazon is always in stock, just don't stock it. You're gonna lose all the time to Amazon. Make sure you look at your due diligence and you're looking at the variation and it's the exact same product that you're sending. If it's not the same product, obviously you want to skip it. You don't want to sell that. And then last but not least, the mega brands, right? The Nikes, the Adidas. That's what we love to see from FBA sellers from the States. They love to flex those brands. The reality is, as a new seller, you're not going to be allowed to sell them. And it's just not worth even clicking on them so you can get better and better reading those Keepa graphs. So I promised I'd show you guys the track product feature too. And this is one of them that gets me the most excited because you're working for the future. You're allowing yourself to compound your sourcing. And a good lead that's not good today doesn't mean that it's going to be bad tomorrow. We see the price history with the buy box. So if in the past it was profitable, but today it is not, click this little track product tab. Flip this. It's naturally going to be on or less. Just click the button. It's going to turn into or more. Keepa is a way for consumers to find products cheaper. We're doing the inverse. We actually want to find products when they're more expensive so we can then buy them at our retailer to flip on Amazon, right? So once we do that, we select a price that is profitable for us in the future and we do start tracking. That is it. Then once it hits that price, you're getting an email saying, hey, product reached your desired price, and now you could go ahead and go source it. You're helping yourself in the future. Another trick you can do is target the seller count and say, hey, message me when there are 5 sellers or less on this listing that is currently at 10 sellers plus. So the track product feature is one of my favorite things that I tell all my students to do as soon as they start sourcing. Because the reality is there's way more no's than there are yes. In those no's, there are many, many trackable products. So at every lead, you know, should I buy it? Should I track it or should I pass? Now, of course, you can go super in depth with Keepa and sourcing, and it's not the pure formula. You still need to do your due diligence. You still need to use a seller calculator to make sure it's profitable, but Keepa can help you determine the volume, how profitable an item is, but also tells you if it's sustainable and if it's going to be profitable for the long run by looking at the history of a Keepa chart. The reality is Keepa can tell you what to buy, but it's never going to help you to how much you can buy because capital is the biggest issue for most sellers. You might be thinking you have a sourcing problem, but I promise you have a capital problem. You're going to run out of money very quickly in this business. So if you're interested in finding out new ways to grow your capital pool or just get a hand-holding experience with me to grow your business with Amazon, I'm launching my cohort in July. If you want to find more information on that, it's going to be pinned in the comments.